Greetings. In this video, I want to quickly show you the expression pipeline using GoZ Plus. In the process, I'll also show you the custom expression feature, which allows you to do some really interesting things with expressions. This is an unfinished character. Basically, it's Hades from the Disney animation feature. I didn't sculpt his hair elaborately because I was going to do that with particles. So basically, I'm just going to open up the Edit Facial menu and just quickly examine how the expressions move with the character. I know based on experience that this character is going to need a lot of expression work because he's so exaggerated. Also, I want to push some of the expressions a bit further so that they, look a little more animated. Although I'll be doing a lot of that through the custom expression feature. So I'll open up the facial profile editor, and from there it'll give me a list of expressions. In order to fully comply with the animation standards of Character Creator and iClone, it'll have to have at least all of these filled out. You can get by with fewer expressions, but it'll give you an error or a message saying that it's not properly filled out. Some expressions are more important than others, like the jaw open is certainly among the top expressions to edit, because a lot of the expressions depend on the jaw opening to an extent. If a character's jaw is extended and it won't really allow you to open fully, you might have to bring the jaw down with a translate function rather than a rotate, and then sculpt some of the issues that remain. As you can see, not everything has to be done in ZBrush or an external program. You can actually do a lot of the expression editing within the program itself. In this case, I'm using the proportion editor from within the facial profile editor. This allows me to drag bones. You can't scale bones, but you can rotate and translate them. Often I'll get an expression part of the way using the Character Creator tools, and then send it over to ZBrush for editing. As of this recording, ZBrush is the best way to edit expressions. You can do it in Blender, but it's not quite there yet. I think there's something in the works that will change that, in which case a lot of this will apply to the Blender auto setup pipeline as well. In general, you'll want to match the facial expression approximately to what the thumbnail is in the facial profile editor. You'll notice that each expression slider, or most of the expression sliders, have a thumbnail that accompanies it. If you match that, you'll go a long way towards correcting your facial expressions properly. Although it may be tempting to give each slider like a super exaggerated feature, you have to remember that you want them all the sliders to work together. And while you can exaggerate a lot of the sliders, making them all work together for each expression combination can be a bit tricky. The less you stray from the intent or the thumbnail representation of each expression slider, the less difficulty you'll have in making all the expressions work together properly. In many cases, you'll want to save the exaggerated expressions for custom sliders. These can be used along with the other expressions to give the character some personality. There's no rules to this. This is just how I would do it. There are a few things I'd recommend doing or not doing. One of those is if you have to correct something about the character, do it outside of the facial expression editor. For example, if there's a problem with the mouth, you'll want to correct that as part of his base expression, basically without any expressions, period. Otherwise, you'll wind up in a bit of a tangled web of accounting for it with each expression. There are a few exceptions to this, but not many. Like if you have a character that can't quite move his lips past his teeth because his teeth are kind of protruding like a monster or a certain animal characters, you may have to account for the teeth in each expression or in most expressions, things like that. When you're ready to send an expression over, just use the GoZ Plus command again. I uncheck certain things. I don't think they transfer over anyways, but I don't want those to be checked. In general, don't automatically generate eye elements unless you're manipulating the eyes or like the eyelids. You don't want eye information to be baked into an open jaw or jaw left, things like that. I'm going to time lapse through some of this, but if I come across an expression or a point that I need to slow down and clarify, I will. So again, the main thing to do is to match the intent, and it's often represented in the thumbnail of each expression slider. And don't go too far in exaggerating an expression unless you know how that expression interacts with other expressions. The great thing about the new subdivision level detail is that it does work with expressions. So you can add a degree of extra detail, like in the brow, which you could not add before without the wrinkle system. I just want to slow down here for a second and show that the smile expression, which is controlled by the mouth corner sliders, certain sliders can hold detail for the teeth as well, and this is one of them. So when you exaggerate the smile, you can also exaggerate the teeth a little bit. You would generally only do that for like cartoony or stylized characters. I exaggerated the smile quite a bit beyond what it should be, but I feel that I can scale it back if I need to. You'll notice that there's a linked button or a chain button next to certain expressions. That allows you to link and edit multiple expressions at once, basically because they're part of one larger expression. If you edit things in a linked fashion, you'll also want to bake them in a linked fashion. The ability to mirror these corrections and also edit multiple sliders at once with combined expressions makes this extremely efficient. Although it seems overwhelming at first with all these sliders, you can actually correct most characters' expressions relatively quickly. Of course, you'll have to go back and adjust things as you go through the expressions, but even that, it's the whole process is relatively streamlined. Okay, now for the customized expression portion. What I would do is sort of block out the expression with the existing sliders and then send that over to ZBrush using GoZ Plus. or the GoZ icon. Then you can manipulate it further. Having a wall of references for expressions that the character might have is certainly a good way to work. If the character is an existing property, you can usually find them on Pinterest. All custom expressions have the ability to use the teeth, the tongue, the eyes, so you can really go as far as you'd like for this expression. There are no real rules here, aside from, not breaking the geometry. And once you have your expression, you can send it back to Character Creator using the GoZ Plus from this side. Then select the new slider option at the bottom, and you can create your own your category. I used to use custom, and you can dial in or add the name. And that's pretty much it for the process. These expressions can be dialed in to enhance other expressions. And there doesn't appear to be a limit of the amount you can add to the character. And unlike the other expressions, you don't have to worry about making them work with the other expressions. The only real downside is that these will not work with wrinkles. Or rather, I should say they will not trigger the wrinkles. One way around that is to have another expression work alongside of it that does trigger the wrinkles. And also, the increased geometry resolution lessens the need for the wrinkles to begin with. So if you have a cartoon character, I would encourage you to experiment with a whole set of custom expressions. That's about all I have for this particular demo. If you have any questions or you need a follow-up video, you can just let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.